As we are aware, nature favors the fittest, and the law of natural selection operates without mercy. Animals act upon their instincts, driven by the imperative of survival. In numerous instances, animals exhibit an unwavering readiness to do whatever it takes, leaving a defenseless individual at the mercy of a hungry creature. In such circumstances, what options remain for an unarmed person? Escaping from a wild animal seems nearly impossible, and lacking any means of self-defense only adds to the vulnerability. Nevertheless, human ingenuity possesses the remarkable ability to achieve extraordinary feats. This story took place in western Siberia. Two fishermen went to the river to catch fish for dinner. The weather was excellent, and the men hoped for a good catch. It was early morning, and the bite was really good. The fishermen managed to catch enough grayling to almost fill a bucket, but by lunchtime the fish began to go deeper and the catch was much smaller. The river was raging, so the fishermen did not dare to enter the water for a long time. They walked a little along the shore and found a quiet pool where they could safely enter the water without fear of being carried away by a huge current. The biting in this place pleased them very much, and the men, carried away by good fishing and pleasant conversation, did not notice how a huge brown bear came out on the riverbank from behind. Then one of the men, as if sensing something was wrong, turned towards the shore and was stunned in terror. A bear stood a few paces away, apparently very hungry. The man, slowly trying not to make any sudden movements, gently touched his friend's hand and gestured for him to turn around. The second man was still laughing at an old joke and with a huge smile on his face. He turned his head from surprise and fear. The fishing rod fell out of his hands and he was frozen. The bear growled furiously and took a step towards the fisherman. The men knew that bears are excellent swimmers, so they shouldn't even try to swim away from it. Besides that, the river's current was picking up, so even if they did escape the bear, they risked being carried away by the fast current. One of their friends suggested that they split up. A bear cannot chase two at the same time, and then at least one of them would have the slightest chance of surviving. The second friend offered to divert the attention of the bear to himself, thereby saving the life of his comrade. Not the other did not agree. He insisted that they should have an equal chance of survival. So on the count of 3, they should simultaneously begin to slowly walk in different directions. As soon as one of them counted to 3, the men took several steps in different directions. The bear first looked in one direction, then in the other, and then took a few steps in the direction of one of the men. Only now did the men see that something was clearly wrong with this bear. As soon as he took a couple of steps, he sat down and began to lick his paw. Then he got up and took a few more steps, and then it became clear that his hind leg was underdeveloped and that the bear could not walk quickly. Neither of the fishermen had any idea what had happened to this bear and why his leg was like that. It turns out that a few years ago, when he was still a little bear cub, he was walking with his mother bear and cub siblings along the bank of this river. When they suddenly heard the sounds of gunshots, several male poachers quickly ran to the habitat of the bears, along with their hunting dogs. The she-bear tried fiercely to defend her offspring, but then the poachers shot the poor animal several times. The huge she-bear slowly fell to the ground, and the last thing she saw was the dogs tearing her little cubs apart. The dogs tormented the little cubs until they stopped squeaking. Only after that, they calmed down and returned to their owners. The poachers took away the carcass of the bear, and the small bodies of the cubs were left to lie on the shore, but one of the cubs still managed to survive. It was the same bear that was now standing in front of the two fishermen. The dogs wounded him very badly back then and crushed his hind paw completely with their powerful jaws, but life flickered in his small body. By the evening of that day, he was able to crawl into the bushes, and there he found several insects to feed on. It was this meager food that enabled him to survive that day, but there was no question of independent hunting. The bear cannot move quickly enough to catch fish in the river. All he ate were insects, berries, and tree bark, but the survival instinct was so strong that the bear never gave up. That morning, he barely made it to the river to drink water. Seeing two fishermen on the shore, the bear growled furiously. It was the first time he saw a man since that brutal massacre of his family. The bear did not forget how much pain and misfortune the men brought him. Thereby, knowing that he would not be able to overtake them, he tried to at least scare them. Unaware of the full circumstances, the men witnessed the distressingly emaciated state of a brown bear. Without hesitation, they collectively made a compassionate decision to offer nourishment to this unfortunate creature. One of the men cautiously approached the bear, carrying the bucket filled with fish, venturing as close as his fear allowed. With gentle tosses, he began providing sustenance to the bear, who eagerly pounced on the food with the voracity only hungry beings possess. It appeared to be a unique experience for the bear, perhaps the first time in its life when it could indulge in a satisfying meal. The men selflessly offered their entire catch, and only then did the bear recline on the ground, satiated and content. It had, for the first time, eaten to its heart's content. Remaining in the water, hesitant to step ashore, the men were surprised to see the bear seemingly grasp the situation without the need for words. The bear calmly rose and slowly limped into the thickets, granting the fishermen the opportunity to safely disembark. Upon returning to the village and recounting the incident to the locals, many expressed condemnations, asserting that the men's actions merely prolonged the pain and suffering of the distressed animal. According to this perspective, it would have been more humane to refrain from feeding it, allowing the bear to perish from hunger swiftly. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments section. What do you think, friends? What is more humane? Feed a hungry animal and thereby prolong its life full of suffering, or pass by? Share your opinion in the comments. Thank you.